Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be a video tutorial on how to use Apex for your online classes. The first thing I want to do is go over your username and password, and that will be how you access the website. So I'm going to bring up this Word document. Your username is your first name followed by your last name with an underscore in between. And then your password is a temporary password, but it's issued to you, and it'll start with a month, or the month, the day, and the full year. But there are no leading zeros on the month. So I'll explain what that means in just a second. But for your username, I'll do an example. Say your name is, well, Jiminy Cricket. Okay? So Jiminy Cricket is taking a class with Apex. His username is going to be Jiminy underscore, and if you hold shift up by the 0 key on your keyboard, just to the right of the 0 key, there should be the dashes button, and if you hold shift and hit that button, you should get an underscore. So Jiminy underscore Cricket. And you see that it auto-corrected the J to a capital J. I don't think it matters if those are capital or not. If you're having a hard time, try capitalizing your first and last name. But again, for the username, I do not think it is case sensitive and that it matters, but you will find out more specifically. For the password, the month, the day, and the full year, and no leading zeros, let's look at what that is like. So let's say your birthday is December 15th, 1990. Okay, so the way you would write that for your password, you type it in, no slashes, no dashes, none of that, just the numbers. So the number 12 for the month, 12, 15 for the day, and 1990. Now it gets a little tricky. Let's say your birthday is January 15th, 1990. Okay, there are no leading zeros on the month. So instead of putting, this is wrong, 01, 15, 1990, just like we did for the 12, that would be incorrect and it wouldn't work because there should not be a leading zero right here on the month. So let's delete that. The way it would work out is you get rid of the 0, so it's just 1 for the month, and then 15, 1990. Okay, so that would be your temporary password. Now let's say, for example, your birthday is January 5th, 1990. So you have a 0 on the day as well. The leading 0 on the month still gets deleted, but the leading 0 on the day stays. So this stays there. So when you type it out, it would be, get rid of the leading 0 on the month, so it would just be 1, but then it would be 05, 1990. Okay? So I know a little confusing. It's just the month that is funny, that if it has a 0 at the beginning of it, you get rid of that 0, but if it's on the day or anywhere in the year, obviously you keep it. Okay? So that's your username and password. That's how you're going to log in. So now let's go check out the actual web page. So you first go into, log into an internet browser. I like Google Chrome. I think it works really well. I haven't had any issues with it, so I would definitely suggest that. But open up whatever internet browser you're going to use and type in apexvs.com. Hit enter, go there, and it'll take you to this login page. Now the first thing I want you to do before you actually log in here with your username and password that we just talked about, I want you to go ahead and run the system checkup. So you click that button, it brings up a window, and we'll check your system for a little bit. It's running the system check. And what that's going to do is it's going to tell you if your device is capable of using Apex, or if there's going to be an issue or not. So it gives you a report once it's done. You can scroll through that and see I have my operating system is good, my connection speed. It's not a red check. It just says it's a little bit low, it's below the required connection speed of 3 megabytes per second or higher, you may experience some slowness. And that's not going to prevent me from getting on, but I may experience some slowness, like the videos may take a while to load, things like that. These are all good, but here we have a red X for pop-up blocking. You may or may not experience issues with this, but you can see up here in the corner, I do have my pop-up blockers on for my internet browser settings, and there may be some instances where it blocks some things. When you click on it, nothing happens, and you're like, wait, I was trying to access this course or whatever, but it's not bringing anything up. If you're noticing that happening, you'll need to go on here. You can like right-click it or just click on it, and you should be able to switch to always allow pop-ups from support.apexlearning.com. And if you click that and hit done, that should help fix the problem. Now it's not going to fix it immediately. You're going to then have to push refresh or something on the page before it takes effect, but that should fix it up. So other than that though, all my settings are good, not a problem. My system can run Apex. Now if you have an older device and you're finding that you hit the system check and it's giving you a lot of red X's, you may need to talk with your teachers, talk with Golden Oak about where you can access this course if your device is not capable of running it. But anyway, once you're done with that check, you can close out of the window, and now we're ready to log in. So I gave you guys your username and password, how to do that, the first name _ last name, and then your temporary password with your birth date. Now the test student that I'm going to be using is Jiminy Cricket. He's a fake student, obviously, but he doesn't have that exact same format as you, so ignore this format, use your own, but I'm going to go ahead and log in so we can see the course. Okay, so you sign in. Now the first thing you should see when you first log in is this page. This will not normally be the first page you see, but your first login it is, and wants you to change your password. So you have to create a new password that you're going to remember. So I'm creating one. Type it the same both times so that it can confirm that they match and that you know what your password is. And then you hit submit. And now we're in. So we're into our dashboard. It's changed our password. And the first thing I want you to do when you get in on your first login, after you've changed your password, is go up to your name in the upper right-hand corner, click on that, and go to My Profile. Click on My Profile. And that is going to bring you up some contact info that I want you to change. Now some of it is fixed. You can't change the name. That's just how it was entered through by the Apex or by the Golden Oak administrators. But you can if you'd like. It doesn't make too much of a difference for us, but you can select male or female. Jiminy Cricket happens to be a male. And then you can input your phone number. That's good. Type it in. There's a fake one there. But type in your phone number. But the most important is the email address. We need your email address in there. I put in my personal email address. You need to put in your personal email address that you check often. Okay? Very, very, very important that you do that. After you put in your email address, then hit save. And it saved it. So it's in, and now your teachers will be able to email you and see your contact info when needed. The rest of these you can mess with if you want. If you go to sign in, it shows you your username. You can change your password again if you'd like. In preferences, there's just a few things about announcements and alerts that you can mess with if you'd like. This is a kind of important one, coaches. A key ingredient to your success as a student is the support of the adults around you. The Coach Report provides information about your course progress that the adults who support you can use to encourage and motivate your continued learning. You have no coach assigned. To update your coach list, please contact your teacher. So obviously all of you guys are adults already. You're not high school age students, but you're in a high school program. So you don't need to add a coach. But if you'd like to, just somebody, a spouse or somebody that you trust to encourage you, you can give me their email and say, hey, I'd like this person to be a coach for me. And then Apex will send out a weekly report to the coach about how you're progressing, how you're doing on your quizzes, how the class is coming, and so forth. And so that could be nice just to help keep you accountable and help somebody see you see how you're doing and remind you to do stuff if you need to. And then security questions, if you want to mess with the security questions, you're welcome to. You don't have to. But that's up to you. So the most important thing, again, really is only in the contact section. Your email. Big. Get your email there. It needs to be there. And hit save when you're done. Okay? Then you can close out of that box. And now we are at your dashboard. This is the main page. After your first login, like we just did, after this, every time you log in, this will be the first page that you see. It'll take you right to your dashboard. And so you see Jiminy Cricket has a few classes here. It has algebra, biology, and English. When you have not started a class, there will be nothing here. So Jiminy Cricket has not started biology or English. He hasn't taken any quizzes or turned in any assignments for these. So he can't access his gradebook for that because he has 0 grades in. For this class, though, there is he has a 50% in the class. Jiminy Cricket is not so good at algebra. He needs some help. But now you can access his gradebook. And you can see that there. And once he starts taking the actual tests and things for biology and English, a grade will start showing up for those as well. But to access the actual class and go to the actual content, you'll need to click on the class. If you click on it, clicked on algebra, it brings up a pop-up window of the course. This is going to be your textbook. You don't get textbooks given to you for Apex. It is all online content, and this is where you access it. So it starts us off right here at integers, whole numbers. Actually, we're at the quiz right now. We want to go back. I want to go back to the beginning for you. See, by seeing that it's blue and highlighted, it says we're at the quiz, but I want to take you back to the beginning. So at the very beginning, the first bit of the section, integers, is a brief description. Did you know you have to follow a specific order to solve a mathematical problem? If you perform operations like multiplication and subtraction, blah, blah, blah. It's just the course. It's introducing you. This is your textbook. So if you're taking Algebra 1A, Semester 1, this is the class you're going to be starting reading. And there's a video here. If you click on it, obviously it'll play. I'll give you, that's the introduction. That's the introduction. And then you click on the next section, and you just move down through each bit of section. So you click on it, read the section, click on the next one. That's how you progress through the class. But let's take a look at the actual content frame. So this is whole numbers, the introduction. This is what you read. Read this stuff. That's the textbook. It's important to read it. Don't just skip over it and keep skipping pages, because then you're not going to know how to do the worksheets or take the tests or quizzes. This is what you need to read to learn the material. A couple of neat features. To listen to the words that are here. If you don't want to read them yourself, you can't read them yourself, you're having some issues, click on this button. As long as your computer has audio hooked up, has some speakers connected to it, click this.
Whole numbers. Do you remember when you first discovered numbers and learned how to count? You've probably used this.
And it reads the content to you. So it'll read it out loud and you can hear it. It's a neat feature. Should have it on pretty much every section. And you just hit that button and you can hear it. Now, on the right side of a lot of these sections, you're going to see some kind of icon, some kind of symbol up here. And this one says, if you hover over it, click for key terms. So you click on it, and it brings up another box. So these are the key terms for this section. They're not required. You don't have to do anything with them. But you'll probably find it's helpful to have the key terms with you. So if you hover over the word, the definition pops up. Counting numbers. The counting numbers are the numbers used to count, and so on. So there you go. Hover over another one, it gives you that definition. That's how you use the key terms button. You can close out of that, and we're back on this window. So we've read this introduction. Now let's go to the study. Click on that. We see the heading. We can click on that to hear it out loud. We have some more information. Now you'll notice here at the bottom for this page, now there's some arrows at the bottom in a page, whatever we're on. In this case, we're on page 1 of 12 total pages. So there's like 12 textbook pages. Now obviously there's very little content for page 1. It's not like a full long page of work. and of writing. But to get to the next one, you click the arrow. It takes us to page 2. Just a heading, something to think about. Now let's go to page 3. And so on. So here's more information. It's helping you bit by bit through the study of whole numbers. So after we get to page 12, we're done with that section. Then we go to the next one, check out practice. There's a different symbol. This is for a practice assignment. If you click on it, then it brings up a worksheet in this box. And if you hit print, assuming your printer or your computer is connected to a printer, then you'll find the worksheet and you can hit print and it'll print it out for you. If it's not connected to a printer, obviously you're not going to be able to print it until you do connect. Okay? Now let's talk about assignments, because it says it's an assignment for you, and it calls it practice problems, but this is not a required assignment. And how do you know the difference? Well, over here in the course outline, some sections will have an orange or gold looking box next to the section number. If it has a gold box, that means there is a required assignment that will be graded in that section. If it does not have the gold box, there will not be a graded section there. So, if you look up here, even though there's a practice problem in this section, there's no gold box, so you do not have to do that assignment. It is not graded. It'll help you. You're more than welcome to do it for practice, but it's not required. So, let's go to where it is required. Here's a quiz. There are different types of required assignments. This one's a quiz. It gives you some instructions on how to take the quiz, and then you hit the next button to start taking it. So question 1 of 6. Fill in the blank, type your answer in the box, and then click submit. Numbers such as 1, 2, 3 are also called the blank numbers. And then answer it. Okay, so let's answer. I'm going to make up an answer here. I'm just going to type in, this is obviously wrong. Now you don't hit the next button down here. It doesn't do anything. Submit for each answer. And then it takes you to the next one, okay? When you finish, it'll give you a report on how you did in the whole quiz. Now, I'm not going to finish the quiz right now because I don't want you guys to see the answers or see what's right or wrong or whatever. But that's how you take a quiz. You hit submit. Now, I will tell you that if you do not pass a quiz, you have to get at least 60% or higher on a quiz in order to pass it. If you don't get 60%, the system will not let you progress to the next section, because the whole class of algebra is not just these 3 little sections right here. Okay, there's many more units. I think there's 4 or 5 total units in algebra. But you can only see unit 1 right at first. Once you finish unit 1, then it'll open up unit 2, and it'll show up just below it right here. Now you'll be able to see at that point all of unit 1 and unit 2. But you have to complete the work first in order to progress to each next section. Okay? So let me go ahead and close this, and we'll talk about dashboard again for just a second. Actually, before we do that, sorry. Like I said, required assignments, there's a gold box, orange box. They may not always be quizzes. They could be tests as well, and they could be worksheets. If it's a required worksheet, there might be a practice worksheet that is required. It'll have that gold box, and when you come over here, there'll be the logo, that icon that you can click on, and it'll bring up the practice worksheet for you. And that's what you need to complete. On those worksheets, they need to be turned in to your teacher. You can either, if you complete them online by typing, downloading it on your computer and typing it as a Word document or something and then saving it. If you know how to do that, great. You can send that to your teachers through email. But if you print it out and fill it out by hand, then you need to turn in those actual papers to your teachers. We need to have them in order to grade them, okay? And wherever there's an orange box, that's a required assignment. You have to do it. If there's no orange box, even though there may be an assignment there, like in this one, we'll go back. I have to finish the quiz. It's not going to let me. And so I'm going to close it out. But anyway, like I was saying, if you go back to this one where there was a practice assignment but there's no orange box, it's good for you to do, but it is not required. Okay. Now, remember, if you click on the course itself, it brings up that window that has the course content. If you click on the percentage now of the class, it gives you this report. These are all the assignments that are due in the class. And it looks like a ton, right? You're like, oh my gosh, there's so many assignments. How am I ever going to finish that? But if you notice, most of them are quizzes. It's quiz, 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 quiz. And you saw in that first quiz, it was only 6 problems long. So it's only 6 questions for one quiz. And they may not all be exactly 6 questions, but they're all about that long. 1 or 2 questions more or less. So they're really not that hard. You should be able to handle them and move through them pretty quickly. There's a lot of quizzes, and then there's maybe a practice assignment, and that's a worksheet that you'd have to turn in. And then there's a test. Now there's different types of tests. You'll notice that this one it says CST, which means a computer scored test. That is an online test that is just multiple choice. You'll be able to fill in on the computer when you're logged into Apex. Some of these are TSTs. So for Unit 2, it's a TST. That means a teacher-scored test. And a teacher-scored test is on paper that you have to fill out by hand, and then the teacher grades it. It's not multiple choice. You actually have to work out problems and things like that. And if it's not a math class, if it's an English class, you might have to write a short essay or something. If it's a science class, you might have to give some short responses, things like that. But it's by hand on paper. Regardless of whether it's a computer-scored test or a teacher-scored test, all tests must be taken in person at Golden Oak with your teacher supervising. So even if it's a computer-scored test and you're online, you're going to be using one of our computers to take it here at Golden Oak. And if it is a TST, teacher-scored test, you will come to class and complete the paper here under our supervision. Okay? Now the other thing you can do with this report, is you can see what you've done and what you've not done. So Jiminy Cricket hasn't done like anything yet. He's not completed anything. He's in progress of whole numbers, this quiz, but he hasn't even finished that. As you finish assignments, you finish quizzes, your grades will start showing up here. If you got 4 out of 6, 6 out of 6, 5 out of 6, it'll show that and how many points you got and everything. And this is a good way to see your progress, how much you have left in the course overall. And it's a really good way for you to see if you forgot something. For example, the quizzes, if you don't pass the quiz, you're not able to move forward. And so you'll just be stuck there. But if you do pass the quiz, then you can go to the next one, the next section. Now, a practice assignment is just a worksheet that you have to turn into your teacher. Those do not have to have a grade entered before you can move on to the next section. So it could happen where you take a bunch of quizzes, you forget to do the practice assignment, you say, sorry, Mr. Davidson, I'm going to do it later, and then move on to the test and move on to the next section, the next unit, start on Unit 2, and you totally forgot about your practice assignment. What will happen is you'll see scores all the way down here, all these scores, and then there'll be one not complete for the practice assignment, and then a bunch of scores again. And if you look at this page, you'll be able to look back and see, oh, look, I forgot something. I need to go back and do that assignment. And you teachers will probably be on top of you on that as well, saying, hey, you haven't given me this assignment. But just in case we're not, you can look at it yourself. Okay? So you can close out of that. We're back at our dashboard view. Again, you can take different classes by clicking on them. The last thing I want to tell you before I close out this video is giving you some information on the announcement section right here. There's an announcement section for class announcements. If we change an assignment, we add an assignment, we remove an assignment, then the class isn't going to have to take anymore. we have an important form you need to fill out, whatever it may be, we'll post that announcement here. You'll be able to click on the link. This is just a generic one. You click on it, and it'll bring up some information that you can read. So always check that. See if there's something there that you need to address. If there's a new announcement, click on it, read what it has to say. But that's where we'll be posting announcements for the whole class. Okay? So now you guys have a pretty good introduction to Apex and how to take the class. Again, if you want to switch to a different class, click on biology, English. You can take those different classes, and that's your content. That's how you take the class. You got to move through it. Everything has to be completed by the last day of the course. You can't turn anything in after that. And there you go. If you have any questions, of course, feel free to contact your teachers at any time, either through email or call Golden Oak. You can reach us by phone here, or you can show up during office hours, 10 to 1 in the morning and 5 to 8 in the evening, Monday through Thursday. And we'll be here to help you out. Okay? Thank you guys. Have a great day. I look forward to teaching you through Apex.